everybody, and welcome back to Cooking for the Yum of It. Today, in honor of St. Patrick's Day, which is tomorrow, I am going to be preparing one of my family's favorite St. Patrick's Day recipes, a traditional Irish stew adapted for the slow cooker. So, let's get started. Now, one of the chief ingredients for an Irish stew is going to be 1 pound of peeled potatoes. Now, this is something I came across recently. To keep your potatoes from oxidizing and turning brown until you're ready to actually put them in the stew, keep them soaked in water. This will keep the air from turning them brown and spotty and unappealing and looking not like you want to eat them. So we're going to put this aside as we move on. Next, we're going to take a pound of carrots and cutting them on the bias, as I have it's become my thing after seeing Julia do it on one of her episodes. Try to get away from me here. It's like little triangles, really. But Julia calls it cutting on the bias. And since these don't oxidize, they can go right into the slow cooker as we move on. Now we're going to take 1 yellow onion. Need to sharpen this knife. And it's not going to be finely chopped as I've done with so many of my other recipes. It's going to be what I call roughly chopped, more chunky than anything else. First, we got to peel off the outer part of the onion and run it under some cold water. That will help keep it from making you cry too much. For this, you want bigger chunks, something like this. Now we're going to add 1.5 pounds of our boneless pork. Oh, how'd that get in there? Stew meat. Normally this would be cooked with lamb, but if lamb is unavailable or you find it too expensive, pork is a very acceptable substitute. And now we're going to add our potatoes. Okay, now we're going to add, you can use 1 to 2 cloves of garlic, but I like garlic, so I am going to add 2 rather than 1 of minced, lovely minced garlic. Now we're going to add 2 teaspoons of steak seasoning. I got mine from McCormick. And now an additional ½ teaspoon of salt. We can adjust the seasoning later if we need to add more salt, but as I say on almost every video I've done lately, you can always add more salt, but it's impossible to take anything that you oversalt out. Now we're going to take 1/4 cup of flour and whisk it with an equal amount of water until it's smooth. We don't want a lumpy Irish stew. This is going to help thicken the stew later, so that it's more of a stew and not more of a soup. More stew than soup, yeah. Okay. And here we add our flour and water mixture. I'm going to add 3 3 ounces of tomato paste, along with 1 and a little bit more here. 1½ cups of beef broth, along with, see if you can get a better view of this. Hold on. Okay, here we have 1/2 cup or 4 ounces of Guinness stout. Don't worry if you get a little head with your Guinness. It's perfectly fine. It's actually, it doesn't really matter. A little head never hurt anyone. You're going to pour that in there. You can even add the head if you want. We adjust our camera here. And now we're going to thoroughly stir this mixture together. You're going to cover and, pardon my arm, we're going to set this to cook on low for 8 hours. We'll come back occasionally during the day to stir if necessary. But there you go, the beginnings of a very good traditional Irish stew. Well, we're a little bit over halfway there, and I just wanted to smell the stew and give it a good stir. It's looking fantastic, if I do say so myself. It smells really good. So now I just have another 3 hours and 10 minutes to go, and it's time for dinner. And here we are, 8 hours later. Let's give our stew a good stir. Oh, this smells... Oh, it smells so good. Brings back memories. Now this is the point where we're going to test the seasoning and see if we need a little more salt or pepper or anything else. This is very hot. Maybe another ½ teaspoon of salt. Where did I put my salt? Oh, there you are. Sometimes things get a little disorganized here. That's never good, but you learn to adapt. Okay. Let's stir the salt into the stew. Let's try this again. Ah, perfect. So now, you know what happens next. We have dinner. My favorite part. Yeah, I am not going to deny the fact I enjoy eating. Oh. Should probably let it cool down a little bit more, but it is so good. And I love the way the stew, the heat as it goes down your throat. Oh. Sorry. And the vegetables. The vegetables are cooked to perfection. And now let's try a little piece of meat here. Oh yeah. Nice and tender. Although, I probably could have finished this after 7 rather than 8 hours, and it still would have been even better. Because one thing I really don't like is overcooked meat. But this is good. I'm not saying it's not. It's just, you learn every time you cook something. You add a little extra something here, take a little out of something else over there, and cooking is never set in stone. It's a give and take process. And I was just thinking maybe next time that I make this, I might cook it finish it after 7 rather than 8 hours, or maybe 7.5 hours. Either way, it's going to come out great. It came out great this time. And the next time will be an experiment. I'll ask myself, will it work 7 hours? Who knows? Let's try. And if it doesn't, I'll just leave it in for another hour. But anyway, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this. My next recipe is going to be for an Easter ham. I'm already looking forward to that, and I hope you are too. I'll probably serve it with one of my previous recipes I've made in previous episodes. I really need to get a script for this. So until then, remember, until next time, to like and subscribe, and always eat and enjoy.